In the roaring foundries of Iron Valley, every anvil sang the same dark song. War was coming, and swords would make men rich. Blacksmiths mortgaged their homes, hired armies of workers, and borrowed fortune after fortune to forge weapons. Only one man refused to make a single blade. They called him a fool, a coward, and a failure, until the king signed peace, and every weapon maker went broke overnight. This is the secret of the blacksmith, who became the richest man in the kingdom by looking where no one else dared to glance. In the bustling town of Oak Haven, young Alden stood over the glowing embers of his late father's dusty blacksmith shop. Outside his wooden doors, smoke billowed from massive, newly expanded weapon factories. War rumors between neighboring kingdoms filled every tavern. Wealthy lenders roamed the streets, handing out heavy bags of gold coins to any craftsman willing to expand their forge to make long swords, spears, and iron shields. Alden was drowning in financial panic. His father had left him the small forge, a few hammers, and zero savings, while rival smiths were taking out massive debts to buy extra blast furnaces and hire 50 apprentices at double wages. Alden could barely afford charcoal. He faced a desperate choice: borrow heavily to jump into the weapon craze like everyone else, or find another way to survive. One evening, while prying up loose floorboards to repair his crumbling forge, Alden's hammer struck a hollow wooden box. Inside lay his father's old, leather-bound accounting ledger. Alden opened the yellowed pages, expecting simple lists of unpaid customer debts. Instead, he found something extraordinary. Beside every annual entry of iron costs and revenue, his father had meticulously recorded local harvest yields, wheat prices, weather patterns, livestock counts, and merchant traffic across 3 decades. At the bottom of almost every page, his father had written the exact same sentence in dark ink: "When food becomes expensive, weapons become worthless." Alden stared at the numbers. His father had not just been keeping books, he had been tracking macroeconomic cycles. The data showed a clear historical pattern. Every time panic spread, craftsmen overproduced weapons, neglecting farm tools. Agricultural production plummeted, food prices spiked uncontrollably, and kingdoms collapsed from internal starvation long before any enemy army arrived at the gates. Realization struck Alden like a sledgehammer. The market was recklessly chasing short-term speculation, while every rival smith rushed to take on dangerous debt and over-leverage their operations. Alden made a radical decision. He refused to borrow a single coin from the money lenders. He declared that his forge would produce only plows, scythes, shovels, and grain carts. The town ridiculed him. Master Thomas, owner of the largest armory in the valley, laughed openly in the town square. "Alden is a coward with no ambition," Thomas mocked. "While we build fortunes, selling swords to generals, he bends iron for dirt diggers." Alden stayed silent, but whenever people mocked him, he asked them one quiet question: "Who will feed the kingdom after the war?" Months passed, and Alden's forge bled money. He sold almost nothing, while his competitors flaunted new silver rings and expanded their grand factories. Then an elderly farmer in tattered clothes began visiting Alden's workshop every morning. For 3 weeks the old man never bought a thing. He simply stood near the anvil, asking detailed questions about iron durability, heat treatments, rust resistance, and repair costs. Patiently, Alden explained his exact methods and material quality. Finally, on the 21st day, the old man bought a single basic iron plow. 1 week later, a thunderous rumble shook the valley. 20 horse-drawn wagons arrived outside Alden's humble shop. The old man was not a simple farmer. He was the chief purchasing officer for the Grand Agricultural Cooperative, representing over 300 farming villages across the realm. He had been quietly auditing every forge in the valley. The other smiths gave us brittle iron because they saved their best steel for swords, the old man announced. Alden gave us perfection. Overnight, orders flooded into Alden's shop. His revenue skyrocketed by 10,000 gold pieces. But success created a terrifying new problem: operational bottleneck. Alden's tiny shop could not fill thousands of plow orders fast enough. Delivery dates slipped from days to months. Seeing Alden struggle, rival blacksmiths planted malicious rumors. Alden is creating fake shortages to artificially drive up plow prices. Angry farm representatives shouted outside his forge. Instead of hiding or raising his prices to exploit the scarcity, Alden took a revolutionary step. He erected a massive wooden chalkboard outside his shop. Every morning he posted a complete financial disclosure: raw iron costs per pound, charcoal, and labor expenses, his exact profit margin per tool, and real-time production velocity and delivery schedules. The crowd was stunned. Complete cost transparency shattered the rumors. Customers saw that Alden was earning a fair, modest margin and working around the clock. Malicious gossip vanished, replaced by unbreakable customer trust and brand loyalty. Then came the day that changed the kingdom forever. Without warning, royal heralds blew silver trumpets in the market square. The king had signed a historic, lasting peace treaty with neighboring lands. The impending war was canceled. Chaos erupted in Iron Valley. Royal weapon contracts vanished instantly. Blacksmiths who had borrowed massive loans could no longer make their monthly debt service payments. Weapons sitting in warehouses became worthless scrap metal. Master Thomas and dozens of major manufacturers went bankrupt overnight, their grand factories locked by creditors. Alden, burdened by zero debt and holding a massive backlog of agricultural orders, stood as the only prosperous blacksmith in the entire realm. One evening, Master Thomas walked into Alden's forge, looking defeated. He offered to sell his entire bankruptcy-threatened mega-factory to Alden for 10 times its physical scrap value. Everyone urged Alden to buy it, crush his rival, and monopolize the market. Alden looked at Thomas and politely declined the purchase. He didn't want to conquer a broken industry through monopoly. He wanted to transform it through strategic market expansion. Rather than buying out his bankrupt rival, Alden took the ultimate strategic risk. He opened a free school inside his forge. He invited Thomas and all ruined blacksmiths to learn how to retool their machinery from weapons to advanced farming implements. Alden's head apprentice panicked. "You are teaching our secret methods to our direct competitors. You will destroy our market share." Alden smiled and replied, "A small mind worries about cutting a bigger slice of a small pie. A strategist bakes a bigger pie." As dozens of workshops transitioned to farm equipment under Alden's guidance, high-quality agricultural tools flooded the kingdom. Farmers cultivated twice as much land. Food production quadrupled. Grain prices stabilized. Trade routes flourished, and the entire agricultural economy expanded tenfold. Because the market for farming grew massive, the total demand for tools grew far beyond what Alden's single shop could ever produce. By empowering his competitors, Alden created an economic boom that made his own business wealthier than ever before. Years later, while renovating the chimney of his original forge, Alden discovered a final hidden envelope tucked inside the brickwork by his father. Inside was a single sentence: "A blacksmith who follows today's demand will always chase yesterday's profits." The master blacksmith forges tools for where the world must go next. Alden locked the letter in his desk, picked up his hammer, and smiled. His greatest inheritance had never been the physical forge. It was the vision to forecast the future through data, build trust through transparency, and grow wealth by expanding the market for everyone. To get more, like, comment, share, and subscribe.